Dancehall Neil coming to you live and direct. It's been a while. Couple of updates. I know I had wanted to do a video with Mr. Old School Pat. Still very much part of the Vinyl with Taste family. Like I keep saying it, but we'll make the time to do something coming up here soon. My plan was, well, our plan was to do a video for the Burris Hammond show that we went to, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, whatever it was, 3 or 4 weeks, about a month ago. It was a great show. It was packed to the brim. So there was no way I was going to get any kind of good footage with us kind of having any kind of conversation. And I would have had to have edited it out that ass to put it up here. So we knew pretty quickly, like, doing a video on that show day was not a good idea. But the Burris Hammond did a great show. I am kind of disappointed. I feel like every single person I told had no idea who he was, and I feel like if you listen to reggae music or dancehall music, from the past 20 years, you should know, or 30, you should know the name Burris Hammond. It was kind of like that was probably the most disappointing thing about the whole show. But it was a great show. Oh my god! I mean, that was probably in my top 10 shows. Well, maybe top 10 shows. Anyway, let's get to today's topic. This was a hard one to pick. Dancehall Neil's guilty pleasures. That was tough because everything I pulled, was like, well, I don't want to talk about that, even though I do like it. It's like, so it's tough. I recorded a version of this like 2 weeks ago, and I just thought it was really awful. I recorded another video that I posted about my other hobbies and other interests, and that was pretty bad too. So I actually posted that one. I'm sure that a few people saw it. I want to redo that one. Depending on how this goes. I just haven't been hitting them out of the park here lately. In other news, before I get into it, with a couple of people that are going to see this, thinking about opening a record store in Dover. We're working on it. I'm trying to get the location solidified, and I'm just trying to get my stock together. You will not see my personal collection in it, at least not very much of it. But I go through my stuff every January, and we're close enough, so I'm going to go ahead and go through it and put some of my stuff in it. I'm on a couple of wholesale lists. I've been doing that, and I've been doing Craigslist. So I ended up I'm buying records almost every day for the shop. We will be carrying a vast array of LPs, 45s, and cassettes that range from heavy metal to indie to pop to trap, hip hop, country music, and God, I'm trying to see what else we got. It's just a lot, funk and soul and R&B. I want to have all that old comedy records. I want to do a little bit of everything. I want people to come into the store, and I want to work for the people. and it was the hardest thing to realize. I'm not my own demographic. I'm a weirdo, you know. So I want to keep myself out of it. I'm working for you. So I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to get that going. So that'll happen either sooner or later. So you have a partner in this, which it didn't even start out that way. But anyway, I don't want to keep, you know, yapping my gums. Let's get into it. And this is a hard one. I'm telling you, this is a really tough episode because I'm like, I don't even know where to start. And I don't know where to finish. But I mean, I'm going to start with probably the most embarrassing thing that I actually listened to. And that's going to be a band called Typo Negative. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know the story behind it. Oh boy, is there a story behind it? Well, there was the I remember, everybody remembers the Mortal Kombat movie, and they had a song on that was just, I really liked it. You know, it was really a great song, just like a hard rock song to turn up to, and it was just really rough and gritty, and you know, I heard that. I don't know how old I was. I was a teenager, and I remember going to the record store, actually, locally here, and seeing this album here, Bloody Kisses, and you know, back then you could scan. Well, this is the CD. You could scan it, and then you could put the headphones on, and then you could listen to it, and you know, back then CDs were expensive. I mean, you couldn't get a CD for less than $18. So I was like, well, I like it, but not that much. So then we fast forward many years later, about 8 years ago. I don't know what made me do it, but I jumped. Wait, actually, I know what happened. My buddy Frank, I remember talking to him about it, and the next day he actually gave me some CDs. I think he actually is the one that gave me this Bloody Kisses. Frank also gave me the Cinnamon Girl single. I opened this up, and oops, look at me. October Rust, I think that was actually in here too. He's like, I don't have the case, but here it is. I got, you know, I don't know. Like I said, stuff. I'm not like, yeah, I could take this, I could throw it out the window, but then I'd go retrieve it to listen to it later. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. I bought this one. This is the first one I bought. Is Life Is Killing Me. This is the first one I bought, and this came out in 2003. Really good. The only ones I don't have the very last one. So I don't know. That one is kind of expensive. I don't know why. I think they had a label, and I think they were going independent by then, so that makes everything kind of more rare. I got this one from Rainbow Records. I think most, if not all, their CDs are $5. World Coming Down. So yeah, I did pick that up. I got this for my birthday. I don't know, 2 years ago. Actually, yeah, it was. Yeah, 2 years ago. Not this past birthday, but the last one. And again, just a good album. I do like them. You know, the Drab 4. You know, easy for all my buddies to kind of bust on me about that. You know, yeah, it's hilarious. So, and this comes with like the big freaking poster. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Look at that. Oh my gosh. I'm not hanging this up, by the way. Jeez, right? No silly comments, people. No silly ass comments. Alright? I don't know how to put this back. It's always like complicated. There we go. That's the word of the day. Ass. Don't worry, YouTube doesn't pay me a cent. So I can say it all day if I want, ass. This next ass-tastic CD is, what is it? It's Prince's Purple Rain. Why is there such a glare? Prince's Purple Rain. Is it, Purple Prince? Yes, Purple Rain. Where do I start? I remember getting in. I buy collections. Like I said, I buy collections. A lot of the collections that I usually buy are from customers because I do hair, and you know, all of my customers know I'm a record collector and a CD collector, and I buy several CD and record collections from them. But most of those are actually donated to me because here's a nice tip for you. I remember not being super close with my father when I was a kid. Not really super close, but so just like kind of like the couple things we did do together. Like I remember and I remember watching Purple Rain with him, and I also remember watching the first Batman movie that came out with Michael Keaton in 1989, just called Batman. Prince is all over that. He even did the soundtrack, which I have on cassette, um, and I can play that and just be like catapulted back into that. Um, and so when there was a few Prince albums in that collection, those were the ones I didn't sell off because you know why not? Here's another one, and the funny thing about this next one is I wasn't going to talk about them because like one of the rules that I had for this episode was I wasn't going to talk about anything like I was into as like a kid. So I really didn't want to talk about like Elvis. Well, I wouldn't anyway because I still actually like Elvis. Um, Jackson 5, um, stuff like I didn't want to bring that up because I'm a kid. I'm listening to my mom's music and my grandmother's music, Beach Boys, Ventures, stuff like. There's no reason to bring that up, but this would be one of those things that I'm going to bring up just because I want to bring it up. Okay, ACDC, or as you're seeing it, CDCA. Now, the thing about CDCA is I got into these guys. I was listening to a lot of fifth grade. I think I was listening to a lot of R&B, a lot of early hip hop at the time, which was one of the first genres I got into back in elementary school with listening to or hearing musical guests from a show called Living Color that I watched with my mom, and it was just high energy, and just pretty much I just listened to, and then I was able to kind of find it. This hip hop, R&B, and then classical, just stuff like in Dover. You could hear it on the radio, and my first collection is a stack of tapes, and my grandmother gave me a radio with a cassette deck in it. This was the gateway right after that. It was AC/DC, followed by Hendrix. I'm not going to talk about Hendrix because I still talk about Hendrix. Gone too soon. Jesus. But I will talk about AC/DC because, like, listen to it now. Like, people are like, AC/DC? Really, Neil? Really? AC/DC? Come on. Come on. But, yeah. I still listen to AC/DC. Even though it's something I don't talk about much. And that's what this episode is about. It's about talking about Prince. It's about talking about Type O Negative. It's about talking about AC/DC. dirty deeds done dirt cheap, and they were a good band. You know, I stand by that. I stand by that. I do still stand by that. I don't care. Keeping the ball moving. It's such a weird episode. It's such a hard one. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it up or gonna try it. The Queers. Band called The Queers. I listened to The Queers for a long time. Yes, it's the same Queers that was on the early, Killed by Death LPs. They started back in the early 1980s, and they are still around today in a different incarnation. The Queers, I'll show a CD that I still have. The only Queers material I still have is the Queer stuff from the early 80s. I love Joe Queer on guitar, Wimpy Rutherford on vocals. Give me that. I love it. Here's a CD that I still have. When did this come out? Of course, I'm never going to find out just looking at it, but this is a later one, and that's why I'm showing it. The Queers. Beyond the Valley of the Arse Fookers. Beyond the Valley of the Arse Fookers. I got this because, as you see, Wimpy Rutherford here, who's also the more modern vocalist of G.G. Allen's old band, The Jabbers. And then, of course, Joe Queer. And then you have this guy, Eric Nobody, from the Nobody's playing the drums. His 7-foot tall ass. Which is a band I could talk about, but I don't really listen to them. The Nobodies. I don't know. No issues with them. No issues with the pop punk thing. But this is great because Wimpy Rutherford it's kind of like his, I don't know. I don't know how they decided. He's not vocals on all this. He does vocals on, I don't know, 1, 2. So he does vocals on a few songs. And so that's why I had a bunch of Queer stuff in the early 2000s, just because I just liked the band, and then I sold it all. But that's one that I didn't sell just because I still like it. I still like Wimpy's vocals. It's just so hard, and the production is modern for the time whenever that came out. I don't know when that came out. If you know, put it in the comments, but you probably won't. So nobody's gonna comment. But if you do, look that up for me, because I'll forget soon after I do this. I got the next few that I'm gonna do here are pretty intense. So if you're faint of heart, stop the video now. Just stop it. I just want you to stop it, okay? Please, I'm begging you. Just turn off the video. Go do something else, because it's going down. It's going down. It's going down. Thanks, Waddy from Exploited, for introducing us to this music called Gabber. Hardcore and Gabber. Hardcore, hardstyle, and Gabber, right? And speedcore, terrorcore, and extra tone. Alright, the more extreme electronic music. This is a double CD, pretty much the best of. This came out in the late 90s. I did not buy this in the late 90s. I probably bought this after graduating high school. Probably 20 years, nearly 20 years ago. I got this. It's pretty much Waddy from the Exploited talking about this kind of electronic music sensation that is hardcore and Gabber. And it is heavy. It's hard, and it's just funny. It's just really hard to imagine him kind of going to like a rave. But and I'm not much of a rave dude. I really detest kind of the techno, a lot of the techno stuff. Like I hate drum and bass. I hate jungle. I hate um, trance and all that stuff. I can't stand it. It's awful. House music, ugh. But I do really like the more harsh, more experimental side of it, which would be hardcore, gabber, hardstyle, speedcore, splittercore, extra tone, terrorcore, that kind of thing. Where it's just like, I mean, nobody's dancing to that, and to watch somebody dance to that stuff is freaking like insanity. And I'm gonna stop there at that. So, but this next thing is a little bit strange, and I don't even know really how to explain it. So I'm gonna do it in as less words as possible. Boom. This one. Why is this? Trying to get this glare off. What is this? You can't see it? Well, guess what? Nobody can, because there's a million phones here. Whoa. This is called I Do Both Jay and Jane. The CD single that I just heard just my best friend Justin would experiment with a lot of different kinds of dance music, and it's just something that I heard, like it was like a sample. We were cruising around town, as we often did, up to no good. Our punk rock asses. Word of the day! And I heard this sample of I Do Both Jay and Jane. And I was like, and I, like, again, from like, this is from 20 years ago. And I went into, who's the artist? Larissa? Bad Cat Records, Warlock Records. And it just was in my head. The sample was in my head, so I looked it up, which is hard at the time because over 20 years ago, computers still sucked. So I somehow found that sample. Something these days you could look up right away. Back then, it took you a week. Probably 3 weeks for normal people. But I'm going to stop the shitty techno right there. And bring us to the conclusion of this. That's right, the conclusion. Because I don't have a lot of skeletons in my closet. I don't have a lot of R&B skeletons in my closet. You like that reference? Put a comment if you know it. Even though nobody comments. So, ass off. Look how big my finger is. That's not good. Is that normal? Why are my fingers so big? Jackass the movie soundtrack 2000 dose. That's right. This is gonna open a couple of floodgates, from it's hilarious because I bought 2002. I don't remember where I bought this. Somewhere in, I don't know. I want to say I bought it in Target in Philly, which is really dumb because you could get this anywhere then. Who's on it? Well, I don't know. Who isn't on it that is really good? Minutemen, the Rosillos, the Ramones, the Misfits, Slayer, the Smut Peddlers, Roger Allen Wade. Make fun of me all you want, but most of that list you know and appreciate. right? And then there's two stories that I'd like to tell about that with my gigantic weird fingers for some reason. Uh, number one is that I am from Dover, and Dover is a pretty small town. Some call it the city of Dover. I wouldn't. So back then in high school, you had was there like three punks? I think me, two, three, four punks, and one was a ninth grader. He was that I don't even remember his name. He was badass though. He was a young one. He was gonna keep up the he was gonna keep it alive for us. So we'll say there was three regular punks, three or four punks, you know, and being from where we're from, intermingled. So the stoners or the drug kids were not just slackers, but they were jocks, they were rockers, they were slackers, they were punks, and that's kind of that's the group that I had in high school, the stoners. So we had all the punks, which is only three or four of us, three or four, with or without the kid. They were jocks, the ones that were more hardcore into the stoner scene. There were a couple of preppies, and then there were a couple of rockers, a couple of like kids that were stuck in the Black Sabbath type shit for some fucking reason, probably their parents or whatever. Not that I'm one to talk, listening to the Sex Pistols and all that kind of stuff, and the Buzzcocks and Johnny Moped and Subway Sect and Eater and the Models, and you know, I was an outcast. We were all outcasts in our own way. Well, you know. Well, here's the one thing that we loved: Jackass, right? Jackass. That's what brought us together, because it wasn't a skater thing in Dover. It wasn't a preppy thing in Dover. It wasn't a popular thing in Dover when it first came out. It was a weird. You were weird if you liked it, you know, just like you were weird back in 95, 96 if you had a Marilyn Manson t-shirt on. I thought my last name was the F word, you know. I got my ass beat many times because of that, because Dover was different. Dover was not a big city. Like, I talked to people from California and New York City, and they have 100% different experiences with things like that, because they were a bigger city and there's more of them. There's not that much of us, so this kind of stuff, you were still fucking weird. But I liked seeing the early Jackass stuff in the TV show, and seeing, like, hearing the music that they played, you know, hearing the Rosillos, hearing the Dickies, hearing the Minutemen, hearing Black Flag, hearing like, it was like, wow, this is a show for me, playing music that I like. So I got more into Johnny Knoxville and who he was as a person, and realized that he loved the Ramones, he loved the Clash, he loved the Buzzcocks and the Dickies, and what else did he like? Country music, and that's kind of what led to my buying my first country music album, Best of compilation from David Allan Coe, and followed very shortly on the tails of that Johnny Cash, where I bought both Prison albums from Johnny Cash, and then that led to many different outlaw country albums that I still have in my collection and I will keep there, like Tom T. Hall, you know, Homecoming from Tom T. Hall, Outlaw, the Sun Records stuff from Charlie Rich, the Memphis Sound, Sun Records, baby, original. Here's another one, the early years, Sun Records. Johnny Horton. Here's a really good one that I actually got for free. That came with another album. They used it for fucking packing filler. Janine C. Riley. Outlaw. Patsy Cline. One of my personal favorites, George Jones. And another one of my personal favorites, George Jones. If you look at my George Jones collection, it's crazy. And I'm still looking and I'm still, buying and selling. Johnny Paycheck, baby. Hank Williams. Cowboy Copus. And yes, Johnny Cash. Big Johnny Cash fan. San Quentin. Folsom Prison. And here's him with Loretta Lynn. No, it's not. Here's him with Tammy Wynette. King and Queen. Country music. Old school. Big Johnny Cash fan. Here's a couple of early compilations. Here's here's an early one. Original. Whoop, 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 whoop. Sun Records. Yes. Anyway, I don't want to keep yapping. But I bought this out of a collection too. But that's going to be much more of a long story, baby. So let's kill it off. It's probably going to cut me off. Whatever. But I will say this. I'm probably going to do, if the store goes forward, which I hope it does, I'm going to do several videos in there. I'll probably do videos probably weekly from the store. And that's up and coming. Hopefully Pat's return will be up and coming. That's partly my fault for not hitting him up about it recently. Like I said, we were both on board to do an episode at the Burris Hammond show, which we did not get to do just because of the sheer volume of people that were there. It was overly packed. They oversold that show. And probably the next, hopefully I can get to it within a week, is the episode of other stuff where, I show off stuff that's not music. My comic books, my weird extreme films, the vintage action figures, just stuff that how do I spend my time outside of music, which, anyway, bye.